And it's all good and well, Ballyball man saying, oh, where's the proof of that? I mean, look at Northern Ireland. You're Irish, right? You probably know a lot more about this than I do. You've essentially got a similar sort of thing that's going on in the Middle East in many ways. You've got a territorial dispute, which has been, really made that much more complex and more divisive with the input of a religious point of view. This split down the middle of these two different denominations that don't seem to want to talk to each other to find a rational solution. So you've got hatred and this ongoing cycle of violence,
Joe, the troubles in Northern Ireland were not, as you stated, basically a territorial dispute. No. If you want to know the history of the troubles in Northern Ireland, you need to look a little more deeply into the whole situation. I'll post links somewhere about here somewhere. That'll help you along. But religion was not, I repeat, not the problem. That's not to say that religion didn't play its part, of course, but it was not the problem. In many cases, the religious were the first to thrust their hands through the barricade to reach out to those on the other side. And in most churches, in both Catholic and Protestant churches, the priests and the pastors, the ministers, would speak about peace and about forgiveness and about reaching out to others. They weren't calling for uprising or violence against another community. It was the religious who were the first, as I say, to reach across the barricades. Religion was just a hook, like anything else, like nationality, just to hang differences upon. And it's the troubles in Northern Ireland were about what over 90%, 95%, maybe even higher than that, 96, 97, 98, 99% of all major conflicts are about power and about resources. And those in power usually control the resources, and the ones in power want to decide who gets the resources. And they divide themselves into in-groups and out-groups. And they divide themselves along different lines. Those lines can be religious, they can be tribal, they can be cultural, they can be along national lines. But each of those divisions can be seen in themselves as major troubling points. It's simply not sufficient to point at one particular thing and say that is the problem. And in the case of Northern Ireland, to point just simply at religion and say religion was the problem is really just to piss all over the memories of the 3,000 odd people who died as a result of our differences. Now, you may have an opinion that it was exacerbated by religion, and my opinion was that it was not exacerbated by religion, as I already stated. The religious were the first to make the effort to end the conflict, and quite often it was it was a very unpopular position to take, even among their own communities, because of the pressures from outside. And similarly with 9/11, to simply point at the Quran and say, in there you will find your reasons why those hijackers flew the planes into those buildings, is once again to piss on the graves of all those who were killed on 9/11 and the many hundreds of thousands who were killed subsequently. If we owe the victims of 9/11 and the conflict in Northern Ireland and the continuing conflict in the Middle East, in Afghanistan and Iraq and Iran, soon to be probably, if we owe them anything, it's that we should know and understand and learn from our failures and learn the real reasons for conflict. And the real reasons for conflict start with us here and here. In Northern Ireland, there were no riots over transubstantiation. There were no pogroms because Catholics think there's 73 books in the Bible and Protestants think there are 66 books in the Bible. There are no barricades thrown up because of the Catholic Church's doctrine on the Assumption of Our Lady. I mean, that's the reality of the situation. I find it particularly irksome when the likes of Dawkins and others. Well, I suppose you could excuse Dawkins. He's not a great history buff, which is quite evident if you've read the God Delusion. But Christopher Hitchens has been to Northern Ireland. He should know better. He should know better than to throw out religion as the cause of the conflict when he knows it's not the case. We need to get away from this ludicrously naive notion of the noble savage, that everybody's basically good and its external circumstances make them bad. That's not the reality. This isn't a James Cameron movie. This isn't Avatar. This is real life. And you only have to look at when people are thrown into any sort of difficulty at all or left to their own devices, you see what really happens. You can see it all around the world. But the point at one particular thing simply is religion. Is wrong. Not only that, it's hopelessly naive and, in fact, dangerous.